Well, you better buckle up because it's all going down. Hey, welcome to the Let's Make a Statement podcast. Greg Hyde coming at you here. First, before I begin getting into the various topics for today's podcast, we have made it through another Super Tuesday, and thank God President Trump captured nearly all of the votes needed to capture the GOP's official nomination to run for president. But let's not fool ourselves. President Trump is still facing a continuing barrage of things that he has to knock out of the way. And I'm supporting him all the way. I know there's more than just myself that believes that if we don't get President Trump back in as our president, that this could very well be the last election that we have in the United States. And if you don't believe me, just look at all the leftists who almost are slobbering all over themselves in a continuing effort to attempt to keep him from both running and winning. Although I'm here to tell you, if they ever thought that what happened on that particular day in January, we all know the ones we're talking about here. If they keep him from running and winning or interfering with that process, I'm afraid that what may happen will be far worse than that day back in January. Again, we all know that they were talking about would make it look like a walk in the park in comparison. And isn't it funny? Out in the wings, once again, we're hearing the voice of Nancy Pelosi uttering her nonsense about Russia, Russia, Russia. Come on, folks. Didn't you have enough of that nonsense in the previous contest? How about focusing on real issues? You know, maybe like the ones that we're dealing with our southern borders literally collapsing and witnessing an invasion of our country? Okay, we got to move on because I've got a truckload, and I do mean a truckload of highly important information to share with you on today's episode. So got a report that troops to be deployed to protect the subway system in New York City. The governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, is deploying over 100 National Guard troops as well as state police to do bag searches and protect the subway systems. Let me ask you this. What is it exactly that they know that they are not telling everyone else? Because there's all kinds of chatter within the intel community of information that pales in comparison with what they were hearing prior to those horrific attacks on the U.S. in 2001. Now let's add to that the great number of outages of both cellular providers, social media networks going down randomly, pharmaceuticals being prevented from filling prescriptions, and you want me and the rest of America to believe that this was all a supposed software glitch? Exactly how foolish do you think we are? And while I was working on this late last night and early in this morning, I have access to a map that provides real-time data about cyber attacks that are taking place across the globe. Folks, it is beyond anything. And I've been watching these for a long time now. This is beyond anything I've ever seen before. And I don't care what anyone else says. Those outages were a dry run to see what they could pull off. And just to get a glimpse of the effect that it would have. Now, I don't even want to think what the day that Facebook had its little outage would have looked like if the event had lasted any longer than it did. And it wasn't just Facebook. It was all of the entities that they own as well. So you got Instagram. Oh, Lord, what else do they got? Meta, Facebook, Instagram. I know they got a couple of other things out there, but they all went down. Not just main Facebook. They all went. But moving along about the troops being deployed. Let me ask you this. Rather than deploying troops, how about you replace the police that you so quickly defunded necessary to do that job? Or is there something lurking that has the opportunity to create a catastrophic event like never seen before? Could there possibly, or does a possibility of someone placing a biological device in the subway? Or could there be a shipping container coming into the port that has piqued their interest? All I know is that it has them completely up in arms. Now, don't get me wrong, I get the need to protect the people. But why not communicate what they know? Preparedness is half of the battle. Moving along here, well, just like as before, Putin issues final warning. Once again, the president of Russia has made yet another final warning in regards to putting his tactical nuclear weapons into theater if arsenals and other material don't stop being filtered into UKR. Add to that, they had one of their $65 million warships destroyed, which, needless to say, has Putin beyond furious. And again, I have to ask, can someone please tell me why we find it necessary to spend trillions of dollars in both weapons and financial aid to UKR, while we seem to be completely ignoring what is taking place at the southern border, which Biden and his clan seem to think is under control? Well, now that has to be the joke of the day. Needless to say, and you better wake up, folks, if we keep poking on the bear country as hard as we are, we can almost count on seeing nuclear devices starting to go off around the world. And for everybody who says, no, it's never going to happen, I encourage you to wake yourself up. Put your head out of the sand. And I get it. It's scary. It's real scary. But we got to face where we're at in today's geopolitical environment. Now, add to that, China and the Philippines is in a bit of a standoff. A little bit of a tit for tat going on there. And you might be asking yourself, okay, so what? Well, it's important to realize that the U.S. has an existing treaty with the Philippines to defend and protect them that's been in place for decades. Now let your mind figure out what direction that could possibly go in. And I don't want you to think for a minute that China isn't watching this, all the while licking their lips in anticipation of us digging ourselves into a hole that seems to have no escape. And of course, trucking right along here, the leftists are once again having their usual meltdowns right after, and I mean I watched every minute of Super Tuesday to witness that for myself, and what a glorious evening that was. But afterwards, I went scrubbing through many of the mainstream networks to see what was coming out of their puke mouths, and there's a couple that caught my attention. One of the first was CNN. Wow. Some of their anchors were on their usual rampage. There were actually a couple of them that you could tell just by watching them were thinking that they were on the stage with complete lunatics and appeared to be looking for the quickest way for them to get off the set and away from them. Of course, then you had the usual crybabies, such as Mad Cal on MSNBC, and I don't think Kleenex could provide them with enough tissues to dry up the flood of tears there. What I truly don't understand is why people on the left want to continue on with the current state of affairs that our country finds itself in. What is appealing about the current situation our country is in? Can someone tell me what's so appealing about any of this? I mean, hell, just like last night, I was coming back from visiting my son across town, drove by the gas station. In 4 days, the prices are at the pumps here in Arkansas increased 20 cents. So it went from $2.99, now it's $3.19. I wouldn't be surprised today if I drove up there again if it hasn't increased another couple cents. People who were once enjoying decent meals, and I'm not talking about anything lavish, I'm talking about steaks and things like that. I'm talking about just regular, average, decent meals, are now finding themselves struggling to afford hot dogs and other baseline foods. But yet everybody thinks what's going on with this Democratic Party is, ooh, so grand. And how? Please tell me how. Any of them think we are living in golden times, like many of them appear to be trying to make us believe. I'm switching up channels here just a little bit, and I gotta say, I just love me some MTG. Now, if you don't know who that is Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene on her comments to a reporter that was in her face. Now, I'd love to be able to repeat to you what she told that reporter, but I'm trying my very best to keep this a G-rated podcast. But nonetheless, look it up. There's probably clips on X you can see of it, possibly even on YouTube and other places. Man, it was flipping awesome. And if any of you watched Super Tuesday, how many of you besides myself were absolutely laughing when Donald Trump won huge in both Colorado and Maine? I mean, that was absolutely divine. But there's still this looming question. Who is Donald Trump going to pick as his VP? And there's certainly a pool of worthy candidates, don't get me wrong on that. Now, I'm still hot on the heels of Vivek Ramaswamy. However, MTG could be a viable pick, as could Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota. And for that fact, even Tulsi Gabbard, I wouldn't rule her out. Well, I guess we're going to sit back and watch that one. Hopefully, when the GOP makes their official announcement of Donald Trump being the official nominee, that possibly at that time he might unveil his choice of who the VP will be at that time. We'll see. But I still feel like they're going to find a way to make Sleepy Joe step aside to make way for another candidate. Now, here's the part that really just blows my mind. And of course, Big Mike, now if you know Big Mike, that's Mrs. Obama. Big Mike, has stated she doesn't want to run for president, but I do not believe that for one hot moment. Them people are some of the most conniving people I've ever endured, so I'm not going to put anything past that. And it kills me even more to say, but possibly, just possibly, maybe they are thinking about running the Hildebeest again. Although I'd certainly enjoy watching the absolute shellacking that she would take in round 2. I guarantee you that. And I don't want to leave out that Sleepy Joe has already stated there would not be a debate between himself and Donald Trump. What? Well, we all know, but can we say chicken poo-poo? A lot going on around the world, folks. I'm telling you, with all this intel chatter, something is on the rise. And, nobody's communicating this with anybody, with the everyday ordinary citizens. But I think I've given you quite a bit to think about here. But I have to bug out so I can go take care of some other things and get this episode all edited and uploaded and ready for you to listen to. But until we get to meet again at no other point in time, has it been more important for you to make sure you're keeping your head on a swivel, and as always, make sure and maintain your situational awareness. Don't forget to keep making your statements for what you believe in. If you don't mind, make sure and share this episode out with a friend or a family member. And if you're not already subscribed, if you're listening on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. And it'll ensure you don't miss any more episodes I release. Until next time, be blessed and peace out. Thanks for joining me here on the Make a Statement podcast.
I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah. Now that I've been put through, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.